Am I familiar with your spouse from our school days? I apologize, but I kindly request that you depart immediately. My name is Jackson, and I am 33 years old and presently unmarried. Presently, my acquaintance Lucas recently tied the knot. He is employed at the same company as me. A relative of Bryce approached me and escorted me to the waiting area prior to entering the venue for the ceremony. This individual, who professed to be a family member, possessed a strong physique and forcefully guided me with their robust arms. Assuming it was customary for relatives to accompany me, I presumed that the bride desired to greet me before the commencement of the ceremony. Initially, I appreciated her politeness, but that rapidly transformed into repugnance. It became evident that I was not summoned for pleasantries, but rather to be subjected to intimidation. The bride, awaiting in the designated room, cast a menacing gaze upon me. I was momentarily taken aback, but I still extended my congratulations. "Congratulations on your nuptials," I uttered. However, she promptly instructed me to depart. "What?" I couldn't help but retort. The bride responded to my query with disdain. This is why uneducated individuals are so vexing," she muttered disapprovingly. It appeared that she held contempt for the fact that I only possessed a high school diploma. She explicitly stated, "You clearly do not comprehend, so allow me to elucidate. My spouse and I hail from an esteemed background, and the attendees today are also part of the privileged circle. It irks me to have someone who only completed middle school in our midst." I was already cognizant of this. They had made it evident that my education was a source of embarrassment. Naturally, I comprehend that Lucas possesses a vast amount of knowledge, and I am cognizant of the unfavorable sentiments directed towards me due to my limited academic accomplishments. However, I solely attended Lucas's wedding because of our authentic friendship. My intention was to commemorate the union of my dear companion. It was disheartening to witness the bride, who should have been the focal point of attention, harboring such animosity towards me. I politely requested permission to congratulate Lucas before departing, but the bride and her relatives exchanged glances and erupted into laughter. Their reaction caught me off guard, and I inquired why they found it amusing, genuinely perplexed. To my astonishment, the bride uttered something unexpected. She disclosed that my presence at the wedding was not due to friendship, but rather out of sympathy. Disregarding my bewilderment, she proceeded to divulge details about my challenging past, including being abandoned by my parents and growing up in an orphanage. She mentioned how I had perpetually suffered from malnourishment, resulting in my tall yet slender physique even in adulthood. It transpired that Lucas and I attended the same school, and he extended an invitation to his wedding out of compassion for his former classmate, empathizing with my ongoing struggle to obtain sufficient sustenance. The bride assumed that Lucas intended to provide me with a meal at the wedding. I refuted this assumption, but the bride and her family paid no heed. She further expressed that her husband's compassion towards me could enhance his reputation, but she couldn't bear the notion of someone who had only completed junior high attending her wedding. She emphasized Lucas's prestigious university education and his association with a large corporation, a vast corporation with yearly revenue exceeding $100 billion. "You assert to be employed by the same organization as my spouse, albeit in a different capacity, such as a custodian or security personnel. And you believe he will show empathy towards you simply because you were classmates. It is truly astounding. We both work for the same company, which has recently become publicly traded and demonstrates immense potential. It is also highly sought after by job seekers, ranking first among them. The company's policy is to hire a substantial number of skilled individuals, regardless of their educational background, if they are deemed necessary for the organization. However, I am aware that there is a differentiation between a junior high school graduate and a college graduate, irrespective of the company's magnitude. Regardless of the motive behind his invitation, I wanted to congratulate Lucas. I have no expectations of anything in return. No matter how much I express my genuine emotions and present my argument, the bride refuses to comprehend me. She always regards me with a frigid gaze, as if I am something repulsive. She remains silent, as if she does not wish to share the same air as me. She disregards my heartfelt perspectives on friendship without any consideration. Could you please cease your pursuit of my husband and refrain from seeking employment solely based on your completion of junior high school? Not only would she decline to let me partake in their wedding celebration, but she would also sever ties with me at work. I'm at a loss for words. Regardless of how much the company embraces junior high school graduates. I completed my schooling and declined it, and I am rejecting any association with my partner. A male member of my family seizes my chest. Hey, please don't be so severe. I attempted to grasp his arm and shake him off, but he pushed me against the wall. I felt a dull ache in my back and lungs and let out a quiet groan. If you comprehend, just depart. The door to the waiting area opened before the relative could finish their sentence. I was forcefully expelled, landing on the ground with significant impact. However, I can tolerate this situation without congratulating Lucas. I didn't want to be excluded prior to the wedding, so I went to a nearby cafe to pass the time and then enter the venue, blending in with the other attendees. When the wedding reception began, the bride spotted me in my seat. She fixed her piercing gaze on me. Without uttering a word, the bride mouthed to me, "Why are you here?" By observing the bride's expression, the male relative noticed my presence. He hurried towards me, seized my arm, and attempted to drag me away, but he couldn't dispose of me as effortlessly as he did in the waiting room. The nearby guests clung to the male relative and shielded me. "What are you doing?" The relative appeared terrified. I could sense that the bride was also in a rush. I seized a nearby microphone and proclaimed loudly to the bride, who was unaware of what had occurred. "Bride, I apologize for telling you to leave. I was eager to attend Lucas's wedding, so I came." What on earth is happening? What on earth is this? Lucas, who occupied the primary seat, overheard our discussion and interrogated us. "Depart," you instructed that Jackson, the nervous bride, who was questioned by Lucas with an unexpectedly terrifying expression on his face, responded in a strained voice, "Because that man insists he only completed junior high school. It would be an inappropriate match for both Lucas and myself." I spoke to the bride, who appeared half asleep. "I apologize for not disappearing, but I will sever my professional connections with Lucas as you desire. Please excuse me for this. And that means you're fired, Lucas." The whole hall fell silent at my words. The first to break the tense atmosphere was the bride. "What? What do you mean, fired?" Lucas replied, trembling. What in the world did you say?" "Jackson is the CEO of my company." "That's accurate. I was the individual who established a delivery company at the age of 16, even though I finished junior high school. And over the span of 10 years, I expanded the company into a major corporation. I started the delivery service with just my own bicycle, facing a time when people were spending more and more time at home. It quickly became a publicly traded company. Lucas was my friend and a fellow coworker at the facility. He always shared his meals with me, taking care of me when I was underweight. He was more than just a friend. He was a benefactor. I grew up in an orphanage until I turned 15 years old, while Lucas was adopted at the age of 12 and raised by the current protectors. Lucas demonstrated enough intelligence to quickly improve his academic performance and secure acceptance to a prestigious university. We maintained contact with each other even after we moved away from each other. When we started our own business, Lucas assured me of his dedication to diligent studying and supporting the company. Once our dream came true, Lucas entered into marriage. I was filled with happiness upon discovering that Lucas, who was typically reserved, was getting married. I wanted to offer my congratulations more than anyone else. That is why I persisted despite strong objections from the bride. I did not hear anything about the inability of a middle school graduate to become the president. It is indeed possible for even a middle school graduate to hold the position of president. I have the power to terminate employees, and it was the bride herself who requested that I sever ties with Lucas. I kindly informed her that I complied with her wishes. She said, then Lucas is truly fired." The bride, frozen in shock, murmured, Fired if you are such a disappointment. I no longer want you. I am ending this marriage. It is meaningless if you are not an accomplished individual with a high income. What a surprise that she declared. She was calling off her engagement with Lucas, who had just been let go from his job. The attendees erupted in loud commotion. Be quiet. I am the one who is suffering. The friendly terms we had before we married suddenly disappeared. This is like a fraudulent marriage, she exclaimed and demanded compensation from Lucas for ending the engagement. As expected, Lucas was disgusted by this behavior. Here I gently tapped the noisy bride on her arm and whispered to her that she would be held responsible for the financial assistance. Then I proceeded to display a video recording from my mobile device on the screen in the venue. This recording was inadvertently captured by the phone I unintentionally dropped in the bride's waiting area. When a male family member confronted me, I swiftly pressed the record button on my phone, hoping to collect evidence of my injury. It seems that the force of being pushed against the wall caused the phone to keep recording, capturing the bride's infidelity with the male family member in the waiting area. Once the ceremony began, I searched for the phone in the waiting area where I had dropped it. Fortunately, I found it tucked away in a corner. The contents of the recording left me astonished. It was hard to believe that such a disgraceful act was taking place on such a sacred occasion like a wedding. As an individual, I couldn't comprehend it. Immediately, I informed Lucas about the incident. In simpler terms, the previous statement I made was a surprising revelation for Lucas. It exposed the true nature of the bride, causing intense confrontation between Lucas' relatives and the bride's relatives. However, the bride's relatives denied any connection to the man involved, asserting that they had no such relatives. Later, it was revealed that the man accompanying the bride was simply an adulterer. He may have appeared pleasant and enjoyable to be around, but he was nothing more than an idol procurer, a lady with aspirations of acknowledgement and riches. Born into a highly educated family, in spite of already being in a relationship, she directed her focus on Lucas, a kind and introverted gentleman, and strongly urged him to become her spouse. She was truly an inexperienced person. Lucas, who devoted himself to academics and lacked romantic experience. In the end, I'm appreciative that I was able to perceive his dishonest intentions because I had finished my education. I never anticipated that my schooling would prove advantageous in this manner. The deceitful bride was then compelled to pay $5 million as compensation for the wedding and $3 million for terminating the engagement, resulting in a total debt of $8 million. Naturally, she was rejected by her relatives and faced public humiliation. Her unfaithful partner, overwhelmed by the debt, fooled in fear. She descended into a life of seclusion in a dilapidated apartment, working tirelessly in a desperate effort to repay her debts. Thanks to the arrival of this contemptible woman, the bond between Lucas and me deepened and our business began to thrive steadily. For Lucas, who had always yearned for marriage, I believe we will attend a matchmaking event together in the future.